Health Nuts, episode 34.
You're listening to Health Nuts with Dr. Chris Carr. Making lifestyle changes is hard for many people, and not knowing what to do or how to do it makes the task all the more daunting. Here at Health Nuts, we focus on helping you live a fuller life by discussing everyday health issues and exploring breakthrough solutions on how to overcome them. And now, here's your host, Dr. Chris Carr.
Welcome back to another episode of Health Nuts. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Carr, and I'm so privileged to have on a great speaker today, and that is one Ola Obasi. She is the owner of Well of Indigenous Wisdom, and she's been working in the wellness field for over 15 years. She received her Master's of Science from Maryland Institute of Integrative Health and is currently enrolled in a PhD program focusing on integrative medicine and functional nutrition. She is a yoga and a dance instructor, medical herbalist, nutritionist, and birth doula. She presently coordinates Herbalists Without Borders International on the island of Puerto Rico, and she founded Well of Indigenous Wisdom School, a 3-year program immersed in herbal medicine and the healing arts. She is also the mother of 3 teens, which might be one of her best accomplishments. So with that being said, Ola, welcome to the podcast, coming from sunny Puerto Rico.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Carr. Nice to be here. Nice to be with you today.
So I'm blessed to hear your experience, because you have a great story to tell, and just the trials and tribulations that you've been through. So I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more about you. With that being said, so for the audience who doesn't know you, tell us a little more about yourself.
Well, wow. I feel like I've already lived a very full life and so much more to live. So as you said, one of my best accomplishments is being a mother. So I'm really thankful and grateful for that, especially today being International Women's Day. I have to shout out to all mothers and women out there, however you mother, whether you birthed your children or you surrogated or adopted, and all men who stand in as mothers as well, and nurture their families and their children. I am a medicine woman. Medicine woman is a woman who works with healing modalities. I use herbal medicine. I use the healing arts and concepts to work with people. I consider myself an earth keeper speaker. I like to speak on behalf of the earth, our earth planet. Just educating people continuously about plants, about trees, being aware and observant about how we integrate with nature. Of course, as you said, my formal education is in herbal medicine and nutrition. So there's that aspect of the science, if you will, that meets the indigenous, which is what I began with. So basically, that's my path, is working with indigenous concepts, which would be the medicine woman, the earth speaker keeper, and working with science that continuously helps us to understand indigenous mysteries or the unexplainable through my formal education in herbal medicine and nutrition. So that's basically it.
That's your background. So then I know, so you have a place up here in Pittsburgh, but then you're in Puerto Rico now for most of the time. How'd you end up down that way, and how'd you end up out this way?
Right. Well, I was in Pittsburgh for about 7 years. I owned Ola's Herb Shop at the time. It was really successful. I met a lot of people. I think a lot of people have been motivated from the herb shop. I was in Squirrel Hill. I still have a lot of clients and students in Pittsburgh, so I need to come back and forth to visit both. And I also have family there. My 2 daughters are there in college, and my mother lives there as well. So Pittsburgh is home, is one of my homes. I have many homes, and Pittsburgh is certainly one of them. Wonderful people there who. For me, Pittsburgh was like a playing ground, because I started my official business there, as in brick and mortar. And so Pittsburgh allowed me to do that, gave me the space to do that. I think Pittsburgh is good for that, you know.
Yeah, it's
So,
a great place to raise a family. I would completely agree. And I love your story just because of it covers a lot of different ground, which
yes.
a bunch of different specialties from a birth doula, which is just amazing to be able to experience that and then be able to do the healing on the other end. But I know one of the things we're going to get into is one of my passions as well is how do we get more access to people who can't afford various forms of treatment and getting into community wellness. That's what today's going to be about, is going to be getting into and working with the public who, unfortunately, from most of the time, no fault of their own, have no revenue stream to afford the services that they should be granted to. So I'm looking forward to hearing that message and what you're doing down that way. And with that being said, I always like to start off these podcasts with an affirmation or a quote, maybe words of wisdom. Excuse the pun. What do you got?
Well, the time is now. I believe in acting in the present, balancing thoughts, ideas, concepts, and perception with doing, interacting, and participating now. Because now is the amalgamation of the past, the present, and the future. There's no better time. The time is now.
Yeah, I love that so much for so many different reasons. A lot of times we get stuck in thinking months,
yesterday and tomorrow, right?
Stuck on the past, stuck on the future, and not living in the moment. And I've been completely guilty of that, as I would imagine most people have been. Maybe what are some recommendations what are some recommendations maybe you have that you've taught your clients and friends and family how to live in the now?
Well, for myself, I have to remember the affirmation of now. My godmother always says, remember the eternal now. And so when I think about that, and I also think of Eckhart Tolle's work on that, on the eternal now. So that affirmation in itself, just giving myself pause to think about that, and also asking people to do that, clients and community, to just give yourself pause to really understand what now is and to value breathing in the moment. So breath, connecting with breath. I mean, there's enough science, there's enough research out there on breathing, meditation, stillness and mindfulness. That to me just brings presence of the moment. And I also there's a word that I like to use called resource. So resourcing is once you've spent so much and you're burned out, you're running here, you're running there, you haven't had enough time for yourself or your family. Resource is coming to the center of yourself. So doing nothing actually helps to resource. It's like recharging or rejuvenating. Give and pay forward, be more giving doesn't mean things always or money. It means, opening the door for someone or helping somebody with something, an elder with something heavy, or driving them somewhere, or, a friend who has little children and wants to go out on a date with her husband or his wife, assisting them with babysitting, just things like that. So giving and paying forward is I have a very good example. I was vending last week, and let's see, the person didn't have all the money that I had asked. I think I had asked for $20. They had $18, so $2. And they just couldn't figure it out. So I said, you know what? It's okay. Pay it forward. And buy somebody else, something for $2, to give that as a donation to someone who needs the $2. And shortly after that, someone else comes in and they give me money, and I don't have change of exactly $2. So it just all balances out at the end. So just, when you enter the mind frame of just giving and paying forward, everything balances out. And that's living in the now, not thinking about, yesterday and today, tomorrow, but just now, the moment of now. And one of the other things that is very practical that your listeners would of course, relate to is planting a garden and eating and using the medicine, the herbal medicine from that which you plant. So connecting with the earth, getting your hands dirty, getting your feet dirty and grounded.
There's a lot of power to that, and that's a good segue getting into our primary topic today, which would be the medical herbal medicine, what it entails, and then how we can work on getting it to the masses. So, for those who may not understand the overall realm of what herbal medicine is, can you give us a little more of a definition of it?
Yeah, well, it's so well-rounded, right? And it just even depends on who you're speaking to. I mean, I know herbalists. I mean, you've got even in the timeline of herbal medicine from all of our ancestors who've definitely picked things from bushes when, in a hunter-gatherer, nomadic or village setting, wherever you are from in the world, and having that mother of the village or the medicine people lineage of that community who know those medicines. So from there down to the folk medicine people, the students of herbal medicine, those who were physiomedicalists, if you will, doctors who studied with herbalists and botanists, those are all herbalists. So you've got your grandmother or your grandfather's herbal secrets, herbal secret medicine formulas, to your physical medicalists or your eclectic medicalists who had pharmacies, not like pharmacies that we would see today, definitely, but pharmacies with old formulas that integrate herbal medicine, plant medicine, maybe some minerals and animal products as well. So herbalism is vast. It would be hard for me to define it only uniquely as how I practice herbal medicine. So my practice of herbal medicine lies in community health and awareness. Again, it is about giving back, and it's about connecting plants with people. I believe plants are in abundance for us to use as a means of community medicine. That's why they remind me of community so much, because they're there, they're available, they're everywhere, and some grow abundantly more than others. Herbalism for me has many realms to it. My practice is in listening and observing. There is some, what I would call counsel. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't call it psychology necessarily, but there's that thin line of having a discussion with a client, and there's an exchange of emotions and even what people would call mental health issues like depression and anxiety and nervousness that herbal medicine can certainly serve. So there is that aspect of herbalism as a consultant, as a consultant working with the psyche. And then there is spirit. And again, that I cannot define that for everyone, but for me, spirit is, there just sometimes I'm working with a client and there's some phenomena that I cannot find in a textbook and I cannot explain scientifically. But I just have this intuitive feeling, and I see a plant in my mind. I use that plant to help with this person, to bridge this person together with the plant. And oftentimes it's a miracle. And that's all phenomena, from the consultation to the healing process, and the result, and has no need to even be explained, just the phenomena. So for me, that's very spiritual, a very spiritual experience. And of course, there is the topical. So there's the self-care part of herbalism, aromatherapy or salves or, clays, and another aspect of self-care and restoration. Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that when that person's in front of you and you're working with them, that they're not there by accident, and you're exactly the right person at the right time that they need to be with. And for one reason or another, the message was found. You ended up being the medium to work on helping them restore their health. And I feel
Absolutely.
I've been in practice for 15 plus years, and I wholeheartedly believe that when patients enter my office, they're not here it's not a mistake how they one way or the other, how they got through my front door, how they found me online, or however they came across me. It was not by mistake. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Yes, those synergies. And you know what else I've found out is also sometimes, I don't know about you, but I like to stay very humble in my consultations, because most of the time I found these themes. Sometimes I myself am working with something in my own personal life, and I all of a sudden have all these clients working on a similar thing, of course, not in a pathological way, for me at least, but I might be curious about this issue, or there's someone in my family who's going through the same pathology, or something along the lines. And now it's like practice when all these clients come in, and I have the opportunity to start to master this topic. It could be depression, it could be cardiovascular related, anything. So I really do believe as practitioners, we are practicing, and our clients are giving us the opportunity to practice in learning about ourselves ultimately. So it's such a blessing for me, I see, as to work with clients. It's truly a blessing. It serves me so much, where I'm able to also serve others.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to get into next. And one of the reasons why I was attracted to you and your message is that we have a similar servant's heart, if you will, with the work that you're doing now with the community health and wellness, and for what I'm trying to achieve up here as well at our community health and wellness program with our drug-free pain management clinic in Washington, PA.
Yes.
Our paths cross for this reason, because we can kind of teach others and maybe work on turning some other light bulbs on why we need to get others under treatments they might necessarily not be able to get to. So that being said,
yes,
how did you get into this, and what's the message you have to share?
Well, a couple of years ago, more than a couple, while in Pittsburgh, and affiliated with Herbalists Without Borders, I wanted to give back. I was doing well in my business. And again, as a herbalist, for me, money is great. And for all of us, right? We love money. I mean, it gives us certain type of freedom and liberation. And especially when you're running a business, it's a good thing. But I thought about people who have no access to what I'm doing, and almost felt like a hypocrite working with these plants and not being able to give back to people who can't access. I didn't feel that was fair. So I started Three Rivers Free Clinic for the People, which is still running. And we just started a campaign, went around, were able to rent space, and actually free, from the Union Project. And I think now it's moved to Irma Freeman, or it has several locations. And just work with community walk-ins, all kinds of people. And I got a lot of practitioners who are so willing to offer their services for free, to allow the community to experience, Reiki and yoga and massage and acupuncture and herbalism. What a treat for people who cannot access that. So my work really lies, even here on the island of Puerto Rico, lies in community work. I'm volunteering right now in rural areas, working with people who have been traumatized. There's a lot of PTSD on the island after the hurricane. And just offering the bridge as, plants and people. And there's been very many kind souls, particularly from the United States, who've been sending a lot of herbal medicines for me to be able to use and pass on to others. So that's what herbal medicine is about. That's what community spirit is about. So my message is, that's what we need to do. We need to come more and more into ourselves as community observers, community participants. And where there's opportunity to make whatever income that we need to make, we should. But we should also, again, pay it forward and do some volunteer work and make sure that all people have access to holistic healthcare. Because I think holistic healthcare is different from conventional healthcare in that way. Holistic healthcare should be accessible to everyone.
Yeah, the overhead, a lot of times there's not not the huge overhead that hospitals come with, and obviously the drugs that they manufacture. Within a whole other podcast would be the amount of money they make off these drugs. It costs pennies on the dollar to make, but they sell for thousands to make people not be able to afford it. So then they get generic drugs that are a tenth of as potent and work a tenth as much, but they cost something they can afford. And I see that with what I do at the city mission and the care that these, people have fallen on tough times for, from veterans that have gone through PTSD to females who've gone through domestic violence to the guys who got addicted to painkillers and went into street drugs. A lot of times, I've never met anyone who said, "Hey, I bet you were really wanting to get addicted to heroin," and it's just not the case. And that lend that lending hand to them and offer them hope and healing through what we do. It's just an awesome message. I feel wholeheartedly, and I follow what you're saying because I'm doing it myself.
And the thing about this, about it, Dr. Carr, is that we wellness practitioners, and I'm really being deliberate with the word wellness, right? We generally have a personality that wants to offer our lending hand. I mean, we're full-heartedly in this work. Compassion is really in order, and we find ways to actually want to see results. We want to work with greater healing outcomes, wellness outcomes. We're not working with just take this drug for this and come back and keep taking this drug, and you have this side effect, okay, take another drug, and it's just this game that's never ending, a samsara. But we want to actually work with healing people. And I feel that the system is broken. Conventional medicine system, it has its offering, particularly what I call its emergency offering. I call it military medicine. But as far as community health, I feel that it does not serve. I believe that all the modalities of holistic health and wellness serve far more superior, and I've seen far better results and outcomes in my own practice and the practice with my colleagues in holistic health.
Yeah, I completely agree with it. We have the best emergency resources in the land, especially here in the U.S. If you're major traumas, there's another place I'd rather be. But health and wellness, they're close to being clueless on how to treat it. And you're right, they get stuck in the cycle of take this drug, and now you're taking another drug to counteract the effects of the drug that you just started taking, and then it's just a nasty cycle that sometimes you can't find your way out of. But unfortunately, through the systems, that's all they have. A lot of people have access to is that model.
Yes. When I teach my classes in the history of herbal medicine, I make sure that my students learn about the Flexner report. I don't know if you've heard of the Flexner report, but the Flexner report is how this system has risen up to become the monster that it is, this conventional medical system. Very, very recently, 1908, something like that, early 1900s. Of course, then we have these world wars coming up. And the Flexner report written by a non-physician, a person without a science or medical background, hired by certain authorities that be who have interest in capitalism, modify the whole medical system. Because once upon a time, particularly I'm speaking of American medicine, there was integration in hospitals, and doctors were learning homeopathy and herbal medicine and nutrition and, integrating these modalities. This was mainstream. But when certain interests of these authorities that, showed up, come up and hire Mr. Flexner, who writes a report stating that medicine should be practiced a specific way. Women should be removed from medicine as practitioners, and herbs are nothing. Let's add just technology. People are now machines. There's a very reductionist view on the body and on humanity. It's like the soul doesn't exist anymore, and we're not people with a holistic frame. So this is a very recent thing. So we're still in that experiment, if you will, of this conventional medicine, this mainstream medicine. And so I really ask people to be aware of that and come back, understand that we need to come home in ourselves with community medicine, which is, I call holistic health, or this wellness medicine, understanding that we need to eat well every day. Our medicine is every day. Nutrition. We must eat well. We must take herbs here and there. Take your herbal tea, even if it's just something as peppermint. Peppermint is a very, very strong and beautiful plant. It can help with, as a carminative, help with stomach aches. It's very cooling in a body that's hot or, feeling anxiety. Good for headaches. It's a great repellent of ants and other bugs around the house, so there's a topical use as well. And I can name so many more things. So all we need to do, and something like peppermint is so easy, or mint families is so easy to grow. They are basically weedy. Once you plant one, it just spreads. So it's so easy to access, and it has so many benefits. That we don't need to poison ourselves with toxic things that are still in our experimental, realm of in medicine,
And that's what we have. So unfortunately, that's what we have the most access to is those things that can kill us.
Of course. And part of the Flexner, that campaign during that time period was, herbs are not good. Burn those, or don't bother connecting with plants and the plant world. That's witchery, or that's whatever, label you put on it to keep people away and fear-based, away from that. Or hocus pocus, or it, like homeopathy is a lie. I mean, there's another word that they use, I can't remember, like hoax medicine or something along those lines.
It's very interesting because it goes into various barriers, or it crosses various barriers of what health really comes from, and what we're touching on with various stressors we come across, whether it's a physical stress or an emotional stress or a chemical stress you come on. Most people will end up taking one of those medications to treat those issues. So I love everything you share, just so congruent with everything that I'm working on as well. Before I let you go, I want to just throw some questions at you, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Best advice you ever got, what was it?
I'm sorry?
Best advice ever. What's your best advice you ever received, and do you remember what that was?
Wow, I've received so much good advice. Oh, don't do this to me. Well, I always speak about my grandparents, and I said this on a recent podcast. My grandfather was a revolutionary in Kenya, and detained during the times of colonialism, and really broken in spirit. And I remember him telling me, as I was sitting on his lap, I think I was about 13, and he said to me, always be true to yourself. Don't let anyone Even if you're standing alone, don't let anyone take you off your path. If you believe it, you walk it. Yeah, that would be probably the foundation of why I'm able to practice herbal medicine as I do too, or holistic health or healing arts as I do, because I truly believe in it. I've seen it work for me. I've seen it work for others, and I don't care what other people say about it. My grandfather already planted those seeds in my head.
Be congruent in all aspects of your life. Love that share. What makes you a health nut?
I'm a health nut because I love good health. I love my body. I love my life. So I'm a health nut because I want my body and my life to be the best. I love myself. And I notice that if I am happy, others are happy around me. I'm able to also serve others. So I'm a health nut because I want to have a good life. Therefore others have a good life too. Yeah. I like my body to feel flexible and not feel like I'm debilitated, and I love good food. I love good tasting food, good organic food, fresh food, vegetables. Yeah. Juicy.
It's that law of attraction. People are attracted to those that are more on the positive end of things and not so much of those who are on the negative.
Yes, and I'm a health nut because in that vein, I don't want to be a hypocrite to what I say. As I practice holistic health, I am a first practice on myself. And live it.
Completely agree. So for somebody that's out there that's listening and they want to get involved in their community, but they don't have any idea how to, or maybe this will get out to your resources and your friends and family in Puerto Rico, or even down here in the city where you have the clinics that are taking place. What would you say to them? Somebody who's wanting to get involved, what would they do?
Well, I would say look for herbal groups and organizations. There's so many online now, and herbal schools too. Start to hang out with people who are, thinking this way, attend meetings, apply, their courses online, get into the groove, go buy a book from Barnes and Noble about herbal medicine or healing arts. But most importantly, go online. As I said, there are many conferences around the United States that could be attended, from women conferences to just herbal botanical conferences, to educate oneself. And that's ultimately it. I tell everybody that education is key. It's another thing my father taught me, so go out there. And don't be afraid. There's options. There are other options to wellness and well-being, and so go out there, research, educate.
Love that share. Before I let you go, so somebody who's wanting to find you and get hold of you because they love your message and they love what you have to share, how do they go about finding you?
Yes. Well, my website's the best thing right now. You can go to wellofindigenouswisdom.com or find me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Well of Indigenous Wisdom, or my full name, Ola Tokunbo, OLATOKUNBOH, Obasi, OBASI. I'll be so happy to answer any questions and meet up with anybody.
And for those of you that are listening, I'll put all of her contact information in the show notes, so you can just click on the link and it'll take you right to her. Ola, you said it all, and I appreciate you coming on so much and giving back once again today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carr. I appreciate this opportunity. You have a blessed day.
You as well. And to the audience, we'll talk to you next time. Have a blessed week. Bye now.
So, you've heard from the experts yourself this episode and have gotten some golden nuggets on health. There is so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to pghcw.com. Again, that's pghcw.com. And sign up for our newsletter where you'll receive free info on how to get and stay healthy. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Health Nuts with Dr. Chris Carr. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and please leave a review.